I'm not sure.
Yeah, we don't know.
We don't
lost
know.
count,
There's a
man.
lot of things we don't know, including where we are, what time it is, or what episode this
It's
is.
37, dude.
37.
37?
Yeah,
It is.
believe it or not.
I wish
Yeah.
I was 37. But
You
we're
are-
gonna
Wait.
well, you might think I'm 37 because I've been getting services from somebody that we'll be talking to today.
Ooh, yes,
Yeah,
we will.
so a little tantalizing conversation
Keeps
with
them young.
with a young lady over here. Her name is Rosalind Cruz.
Welcome, Rob.
This is our
Welcome,
special
Rosalind.
guest
Thank you.
today. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it.
Yes.
Thank you.
So we're going to be talking a little bit about Rosalind, by the way, is a family nurse practitioner. She does several different things in medicine, which we'll unpack throughout the conversation to come. She is in entrepreneurship as well as in an urgent care, as well as in acute care, and she's had a number of different roles in the medical field, which I really
Amazing,
am
yeah.
really looking forward to listening to today.
You're
Before we get to that,
aspiring to be Rosalind.
I am.
then.
I am
Yeah,
really
pretty much.
honestly.
You are. It's like
Both-
that's why we
both
have you
in
here
beauty
today.
and in knowledge.
Yes, of course.
When he's not-
especially in beauty, although you are very beautiful.
Thank you. I appreciate
You are
it.
very beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, so before I get to that, I'm back with my normal host here, Joey.
I'm everybody. Welcome back, and I want to welcome Rosalind again. Thank you so much for being on.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And I hope that everybody enjoys the episode. I think it's going to be a great one. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
I think it's going to be great too.
Yeah.
Thank
Our other host, Joe.
Hey, so Rosalind, we're so happy to have you on the show. It's
Yeah.
great. We're just like piling up on the interview stuff.
That's
so-
what it is. The guest interviews are starting to like take
They're really
off.
taking off. That's
and we're
true.
gonna blow yours out of the order.
Yes.
gonna be
today.
good.
So hopefully
Yeah.
it'll be. I think it's gonna be really interesting stuff, and I can't wait to hear all this stuff because I'm gonna come to here. I want to be beautiful.
Yes, that's what it is.
So
And the silent but deadly Brian, he's still doing directing from the back. He's moving things as we speak. So we
Yeah.
can't really. We'll say hello from him.
hey,
hello
Brian.
from Brian.
Yeah,
Everyone's
hello
in the
from
back.
Brian.
Everyone say hi to Brian.
Yeah, Brian.
Hi, Brian.
Don't worry,
Hey,
he's
Brian.
there. Trust us, he's there.
All right. So like I said a few weeks ago, I know we've been teasing this for some time.
Yes.
We have been seeing a lot of special guests. We talked to a corrections officer from Rikers for 20 years.
Yeah.
Yep.
We talked
That one's
to
big.
a producer of
Film
a
producer.
film and commercial.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
And television, I believe.
Television.
Yeah,
Television?
television has his own
Movies, yeah.
has his own
So-
show.
Commercials. Yeah.
Yep.
And those were great, but I'm particularly excited today because I know Rosalind personally, and also because I'm
Right.
also in the medical field, and I do find this pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
And I think a lot of people out there are going to find it interesting as well. You know, especially you women out there who want to.
I think so.
You know, and,
Even men these days, you know
Even
what?
men, yeah.
I think it's like manscaping and all that has gotten so popular.
Yeah, yeah.
my
It used to
website.
be, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
On my website, you'll see
what are we going to see? Let me see.
videos.
Videos.
We got videos. So
You know what it is? That Dad's given up on all that stuff.
Yeah.
So to him, it's like,
yeah,
it's
I
just
just let
women
other
now.
people do
That's
stuff
what
for
it
me
is.
because I'm
He's just
completely-
given up.
I'm
There's
getting
no
it.
hope. It's all down.
I don't have Alzheimer's disease. I have like technical deficiency disease.
Okay.
So
What is
you know,
that?
it's like you get slower at being able to
Oh,
type and like
yeah.
look up websites. I actually
Right.
had Rob
I don't
look
know
up
if
a website for
Rosalind's
me before.
services.
No, it's not going to help.
I don't know.
It's
Right.
not going to
No,
Well,
help.
we're
I
going
don't
to
think
find
so.
out. So,
Maybe-
Rosalind, I
maybe it
understand
will.
you started in the medical field back in 1992. So, why don't you give us a little bit? How did you get into the medical field? What were you doing back then?
I had graduated from high school and I didn't know what to do with myself.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
That's great.
But I thought about, stewardess,
That's kind of neat.
going to
That
the
was us. Joe and I
Army.
also thought about.
Yeah, we were
stewardess.
gonna
Yeah.
we're gonna start our own business as stewardesses.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're still thinking about it. We're mulling it around. But go
it's
ahead.
still there. If the podcast doesn't work out, we have something to fall back.
Exactly.
And I just couldn't, it was like, oh, should I go to the Army? Should I do post office? Like, I just didn't know what to do with myself.
You know what? It's weird because I think most people are
Yeah,
like,
19.
They don't know.
Yeah, 18, 19. You don't know what to do.
I still don't
the
know
rest
what
of
I
your
wanna
right.
do.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, interestingly enough, the phone rings and it's called Blake Business School, not Drake. Remember when back in the day?
Oh, what was it like?
Remember
a bait
back-
and switch kind of a thing, or
No, it was just a different.
just a different?
Was it like a
different-
technical school?
Right. It was
Okay.
a technical. Remember when technical
But
schools
instead of
were
doing
the thing to
VCR
do?
repairman, you
Yeah.
thought, let me get into medical. That's a good choice. She's already making good choices. I'm sorry if you're out there repairing VCRs.
way better choice. Way better choice.
So I did think of nursing as well.
Although I do have a couple of VCRs in there we can get fixed if she wanted to go back into
There you
it.
go.
I think stay with your current passion.
Oh yeah.
So they had medical billing, medical assistant, and something else. And I also thought of nursing while I was thinking about all the different things I wanted to do. And then I decided, okay, medical assistant is the closest thing. It's only a 6-month program. I'm going for it because I didn't want to go. I hated school at
Yeah.
the time,
Right.
and I did not want
Know the
to
feeling.
go to college. And I honestly, I didn't have the money for it either.
Right.
Okay.
So that's how it started.
So there are a
I went
number
to
of
6
variables
months
that kind of led
in
you.
Manhattan. Yeah, so I
Really?
would travel to. I was living in the Bronx at the time.
I was going to ask you. Okay. What if it's okay to ask? What area of the Bronx were you?
Near Parkchester,
Okay,
Westchester.
sure, okay.
Okay. So you
You're
were
in the
traveling into doing
outer
that?
edges of the Bronx, sort of, right? Parkchester.
It's
like-
near where Jennifer Lopez grew up, near Castle.
Jenny from the
Oh,
block.
nice.
Very
That's
cool.
why we call her Roz from the cul-de-sac.
Nice. That's awesome.
We're starting that now.
Did you just think of that right now on the spot? That's really good. That's really good. Wow, man.
He actually is good.
Wow.
At work, he cracks me up.
Okay, so you get into the MA thing now. Does it take off right away? Do you love it right away? What do you think? What are your
I love
initial
it right
thoughts?
away.
You do?
Really? That's
Nice.
good.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay. And then where'd you go to work?
Initially, I did my externship at a local doctor's office, and because I'm bilingual, they hired me.
That helps a
As
lot,
soon as I
right?
finished my schooling, they hired me right away.
Oh, wow.
great.
Awesome.
Now you're not counting pig Latin like me, right? You actually speak another language.
Yeah, right.
So in case you don't know, Rosalind speaks
I did.
Espanol.
You speak pig Latin?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We're
Seriously.
going to have to do a whole episode of pig Latin.
I don't know. That'd be pushing it.
Yeah,
A little rusty. I might have to kick the rust off. But okay, so you go and you're still living at home at this point. I mean, you're pretty young, right? So you, 18,
Yes.
19, you're saying?
Yeah, so I would work at the meat department,
Haha.
and then go to school.
Well, like in a supermarket or something?
Yeah, I'll go to
Nice.
school, and then I started
down in
going
the
to
city, Manhattan, or in the
the
city?
Bronx.
In the Bronx,
Bronx,
yeah.
nice.
The Bronx, Manhattan is literally 15 minutes
Yeah,
by
it's not
car,
really-
Sure, yeah.
Sure.
but
Not that bad.
jumping on the train was an hour.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's a great plug for mass transit. Make sure
Yeah.
you're doing that.
yeah.
At least now you can understand. Do you remember at one time there was, I still remember just growing up also in the Bronx and being on the subways, and you're going to the next stop, and I think it's been cleaned up, Juliana, whoever wants to take credit. But at one point it used to be like, you didn't know what the
Yeah.
hell the next stop was.
That
Yeah.
one.
You could tell if somebody was not from that area because they were like, what? What do they say? Where do I get off? Don't you hear they're saying Ronconk on my neck?
and nobody helps. Like no one offers.
No,
like,
they
oh,
just
no,
look
that's what
at
he
you like
said.
you have a disease. What?
No.
You better know where you're going.
Yeah.
Seriously, that's so
That-
true.
That's the Seinfeld episode where Elaine was on the
Oh,
on the
that's
train.
right. Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
That's
I almost
right.
peed in my pants because it was
They must have known I
it
was
was on
thinking about
point.
it.
Yeah.
It was-
That's
right there.
hilarious. Oh my
That's pretty
gosh.
good.
Oh, that's amazing.
So okay, so you go into the medical assisting. So I mean, nothing wrong with being a medical assistant. Great foot into the door. We
Right.
work, both you and I both work with some great medical assistants. I would say they kind of really are the backbone, right? They do the X's and O's for us throughout the day. But it's a long shot from where you are now as a family nurse practitioner.
It's a
yeah.
big, that's a huge.
Yeah, that's
And
great.
and we're a long ways from you living in the Bronx. So why don't you take us through, if you don't mind, like kind of like from where you were then to how did you get to where you are now?
So from medical assistant, I did that for 7.5 years.
Okay.
Okay.
Worked like 2 or 3 different clinics, doctors' offices, and then was ready to go back to school.
Okay. Did you feel different about going back to school then? Than
I was
originally?
so ready to go back to school.
And that was
Oh, that's
probably
great.
for
That's so
RN.
cool.
That was like you went for the RN.
Yes.
Obviously, that's
Okay.
the next practical step
Yes.
for the RN.
And where did you, if it's okay to ask, where did you go for your RN?
I finally was accepted at Dorothea Hopfer School of Nursing in Mount Vernon,
Oh, cool.
Oh, Mount Vernon.
which
okay.
is also 15 minutes from
Yeah.
The other
Bronx.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
We used to ride our bikes to Mount Vernon, but they would always know that we weren't from there. Like, go back to Co-op City.
Yeah, yeah.
If I saw you in
right
my,
away, they knew we weren't from there.
if I saw you riding in my neighborhood on your bike, I'd tell you to go back too.
Yeah.
I still do that. I still do that.
They weren't always my bikes that we were riding.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Okay. Anyway, I'm sorry to derail.
It's okay.
Okay. So you decide to go back to school. You're still working, I assume, during your rest.
Yeah.
So I mean, anybody who's went to school for nursing, it's not easy.
Yeah.
It's
No, I-
difficult.
That was
They put you
very
through
stressful.
trials.
Now,
Had to
just
be,
I
right?
don't want to just get off the subject too much, but Rob obviously went to nursing school for his RN, and I saw what he went through, and
Yeah.
it was like a year and a half, 2 years of just like really intensive work.
I'll never forget.
And I remember Rob almost, he was getting to like an end point. You know what I'm saying? It was stress.
I was ready to stop.
Yeah.
And my son actually helped him in a lot of ways because he had to do statistics for whatever
Online,
reason
I
for
didn't know.
I
nursing.
tutored him for one.
I don't know why you have
Or not
statistics.
Tutoring is kind of a loose term.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You really did a lot
He
of
did everything
enabling.
for him. He kind of took over for
Enabling,
Rob
yeah.
and changed his identity identity and went and did the work for Rob.
I wrote integers on there.
Yeah,
Listen, I
it was
don't know if
actually
they come
Joe
take
that
my
got the
grade back.
nursing degree.
Yeah.
It wasn't Rob.
Yeah.
It was
Rob-
stats. Calm down.
Yeah, that's what I always
I
say.
did good in
He
everything
gives me
else. I
way
did
too much
well.
credit for that. It was one stats class. That's all it was.
That guy was hard, though.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Zhao Zhao, if you're out there, too
Yeah.
late to get it back. That A is mine.
Yeah.
But it is hard. It's really,
Yeah.
it's
But
really,
no,
really
yeah,
hard.
it's trying
years.
to be working during. A lot of people, they're having a difficult time. They're not even working.
No, I had to because at the time I had my son.
Okay.
I had my son at in '93. I was 21.
Okay.
And I had to work, so
Yeah.
I didn't have a choice.
So
Right.
you're 7-8 years in. You decide to go back. Now, what did you go for your associates first? Did you go right to your bachelor's?
Associates first.
Okay, so you
All
did your
I always-
associates.
I didn't know that there was a
yeah,
difference
smart.
with nursing
Yeah.
for associates and I thought
Yeah,
there
there's
was
still
just
a
like
associate degree nurses.
like a plan. That's it, going for RN, and it's a certain amount of time, and that's it. Is it like you have a difference between an associate's and a bachelor's?
Oh, yeah.
What
It
is
goes,
it?
it's a level. It's associates, bachelor's, master's, doctorate.
But now, okay, so now you can be an RN with an associate.
You can.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, that's very
You take the
interesting.
same
Okay.
national
See, I
standard
didn't know
test.
that. That's
Very
something
cool,
I
very
did
cool.
not.
same,
Right.
same.
But a lot of them are
exam.
passing like to be a BSN at 10 now, so it'd probably be a good idea if you can afford and you have the time probably to go right to your bachelor.
All right, so now you have an associate's, you're an RN, and you get a bachelor's. What's the difference?
So what happened was they wanted nurses to go back to school to get their bachelor's because they found in research that nurses that had more education made better choices and
Less errors,
decisions
right.
at the bedside
Okay.
with the patients and
Right.
less medication errors, and they were just more educated, and it does make a difference.
All right, so is
and
there-
you'll see it when you're working with like
I think your
I'm not
rationale.
downing medical
no,
assistants,
absolutely
but
not.
Absolutely.
the level of education you get as a medical assistant as opposed to a nurse is very it's very different.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh
Yeah.
yeah.
This is very basic.
My daughter Christina went to school for medical assistant, and
Yeah.
she wants to go. She's actually going to be going for nursing.
For her LPN,
For
but even
LPN.
that, but even just like going over the like curriculum and all of that, you see it
It's
is so
hard.
much
At
more
an LPN
intense
is
and-
hard.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It is.
It's a lot in a
It's
small
intense.
time.
Yeah.
Which again is I think goes back to what you're saying, Ronald. Is like I think a lot of those errors and stuff are derived from lack of well-roundedness or really understanding rationale. More, I think I initially
They're
for
not-
myself
you're not
even
taught
there's a lot
rationale.
rote memorization.
Yeah, but
and
the thing that
not like why are we doing this?
the thing that
Right.
fascinates, I didn't know. I'm completely
Yeah.
ignorant to it, so I'm really kind of interested in it. Is the fact that I didn't know that there was really different. So you said there's associates, bachelor's, master's, doctorate.
right.
Now, when you get into master's and doctorate, is that where you get into your nurse
That's
practitioner
called
kind of thing?
graduate level.
So you're a nurse practitioner at that point.
That's
Or no,
different
you're
too,
not.
yeah. So break, you know,
See, I
what?
don't
That's
even
great.
know.
Why don't we break that down, Rosalind?
Yeah,
That's
could you
great
please
because a lot of people
explain it?
honestly ask. They don't really
I have no
separate
idea.
like
I don't
the
either.
formal education from the advanced practice of that nurse.
So it's undergrad and then grad school. So undergrad is associates and bachelor,
Right,
and
yep.
then grad school is masters and doctorate.
Right, yeah.
Sure,
no.
sure.
However, in nursing, you can go, you can get another license, like midwife, nurse anesthetist, nurse practitioner, or you could just do education.
Right.
And I forgot there's like another
There's
one.
a ton of different ones. There's
Yeah.
masters in nursing.
Oh, administration.
and
So you
admin.
can get your
cool.
master's in administration.
So you're still
Oh.
doing
Oh, wow,
that type
very
of work.
cool.
You're not in advanced practice.
no,
Okay.
because you're not taking
You're not working
another.
with patients, and so you're sort of doing
You
more
may
of the
be.
paperwork.
Well,
kind
like
of
she's an
thing.
advanced practitioner in that she works hands on and makes diagnoses.
Okay.
Diagnoses.
So
diagnoses.
as a nurse practitioner, you're working at the level as the same as a doctor.
Yeah, right.
Is the same thing.
You can do
Right.
prescriptions
But a
and all that.
nurse, yes,
Right.
Yeah.
but a nurse that with a master's in administration or in
do
education
those
or
things.
nutrition, they don't have the extra license
Oh, okay.
to prescribe,
Oh, exactly. Okay.
diagnose.
and it is
wow.
it is a lot
Interesting.
different, right?
Wow, okay.
It's fair to say it's
so you get
fairly
your
different.
master's, you get the education, but
Sure.
you don't get another license.
I see what you're saying.
And
Yeah,
a lot
yeah,
of
yeah.
education
Wow, that's
isn't
really
a lot
toward
of different facets
priming
to
you,
it.
right? So a lot of those so if you go for education, correct me if I'm wrong, Rosalind, it would be different. It wouldn't be preparing you to learn how to give medications or to titrate someone's med or Rosalind.
associate's
You had a lot
degree.
of practical,
Yeah, okay.
right? A lot of practical hands-on learning.
So
during your master's.
associate's degree is the most difficult degree that I have.
Really?
Interesting. Wow.
It's like they really make you work for it.
My
Really? Wow.
bachelor's
That's crazy.
is all about writing papers.
Yeah. I remember all your
said the
papers.
same
I was
thing.
disappointed, but anyway.
Yeah. yeah.
And was that because of the particular course you
That's just
Direction
how it
you
is.
took it.
That's
That was
all
everywhere. That's
nursing.
national.
I was gonna say
Yes.
just Rob. I
That's
remember
pretty much what we did here in New York.
International.
The same
That's
thing in
worldwide.
California.
Yes, it is.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
So then when you did
Unbelievable.
your master's, because that you were going to be a hands-on advanced practice nurse,
Then I had to do 5 more clinicals.
right? So and you had to have
at
so many
advanced-
hours, right, in different
Yeah,
areas.
675.
Hours, so practicing hours. So she'd be in some of the areas. You tell us what's some of the areas that
So
you
as
were
a family nurse practitioner, you had to do adult health assessment, pediatrics, geriatrics, women's health, and there's an advanced
Okay.
assessment.
So everything
That's
from
like
mother baby
working-
to the grave.
Yeah.
Is it like the movies where you see them working like 80 hours a week and sleeping and
I don't know. What was your experience, honestly?
No. I
Yeah.
did my bachelor's. Okay, so my associate's degree, I did the traditional. I actually went to school, sat in class.
Yeah, same here.
Bored out of my mind.
Yep.
I tried for my bachelor's. I tried the online, and I loved it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I received my bachelor's online and
Great.
my master's online.
Oh, good. All right.
Great.
So the only thing is that with clinicals, you have to go obviously in
have to
person
work.
because you need the hands-on.
Gotcha.
Right. And a lot of it's autonomous, right? I remember you were going
Remember?
through some of your masters and you were doing a lot of the like setting up for yourself, right? There wasn't necessarily a lot of hand holding there. You were kind of
No.
finding your own places to
Oh,
go
no.
and
Wow.
Can you
In
explain how that
nursing-
works for us?
Well, the nursing, as you know, it's like, oh, you're a nurse? Go
Yeah.
figure it out.
Sure.
You can do it. It's in the book.
So my
Right.
so my first experience, my first clinical, it was very disappointing. I really didn't like the preceptor at all. He was awful.
What's a preceptor?
So you have to get a preceptor in clinical is pretty much the person that's showing you the ropes.
Okay,
How
so
do you?
that's sort of like a mentor or something like sort of
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. So he wasn't very good.
No. Okay. That's
I
unfortunate.
kind of figured it out and winged it myself, like I do with many things in my life. But
That's kind of the best way to learn sometimes. That you kind of teach yourself a little bit. Yeah.
yeah, and I almost quit the program because of that. I said I cannot do 4 more clinicals of dealing with a preceptor that's not actually
Showing you
helping
and
me.
doing yeah.
You know, and I'm not asking for holding hands. I'm
Right.
just asking for direction and guidance. You know, just say, okay, this is how I do it, and then you're
Right.
eventually going to figure out your way because that's how it is with every profession, right?
Yeah.
You learn the textbook way. You learn how your
there's
in
always a difference.
orientation or your mentor or
Wait a minute.
whoever-
Are you
This
suggesting that you don't do this by the book?
You know,
You don't go buy textbook?
we have covered that many times before.
I'm blown away.
There's textbooks and there's practical application. right?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And it's can be completely different. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's completely a completely different
absolutely.
world.
There's a percentage that is correct in the textbook, but it's not
It's
always
not
textbook.
rote.
Right.
It's that's where experience comes in.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just I mean, how many times you see a person? Most things don't present exactly.
No.
So, they'll have radiating pain for 2.5 minutes, then they'll become specific pain at the McBurney point. That doesn't.
Yeah.
Right.
Can I ask you
Most of the
something? All right. So have you ever been a preceptor? If I said that right.
Preceptor.
You're good. Yeah.
No, not in my
You
not
haven't
as a
had-
At
nurse
this point, but you may
practitioner,
be.
but as
But
a
if you-
medical
Could be.
assistant or phlebotomist,
right.
I've
A
done
different.
I've oriented and taught plenty of
And your experience with that terrible preceptor had any kind of influence on how you treat your handling
no.
of being a preceptor? I mean, making sure that you know what I mean. As far
You
as
don't
like
do
you
the
had a bad
same.
Yeah.
experience, you want to make sure
no,
that
I make
person-
sure that I'm not like that at all.
Yes.
Rob
Yeah.
can tell you.
Sometimes
Right,
a bad
good.
experience can help.
Right.
Actually,
Yeah.
where we work, I was actually orienting and training the people for phlebotomy. Remember
Right.
the medical assistants
Yep.
and the
Yeah.
nurses. I was training them with phlebotomy skills, and I was, but I'm a very friendly, easygoing person.
Yeah,
You don't
that's
want to
great.
know about my phlebotomy lack of skills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well, you can,
I've always
with
been that way.
me, You're not.
Good.
Oh my God! Look at those.
You
can
those
throw
are
a dart.
beauties.
Yes,
So-
exactly.
Those are beauties.
Yeah, same.
I call it nurse
Clear
porn
skin.
right there.
If you miss mine, you're terrible. You're not going to be a phlebotomist.
Yes. So,
So, if you don't mind, Rosalind, tell us a little bit about during your journey here. What was the most challenging part? And I think you kind of alluded to some of it. It's like you can really be turned off by certain people, right? And tell us about
Okay.
some of the best parts of your journey.
So when I spoke to my counselor and I said, listen, I don't know. I don't think I could do this. I'm not having a good experience. I'm thinking of dropping. They try to encourage me. No, maybe just take like a semester off and think about it and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, I just dropped down. I was trying to take 2 classes at a time, which was also, I was like pulling my hairs out. Not difficult at all.
Right.
Just time consuming.
Yeah.
And you have to have the time. And you cannot do any type of assignment half asleep because you would be typing gibberish.
Right.
And when you submit
I've done
it
that.
and you read it later on, you're like, oh my God.
that
I've done that.
could not have been me.
I
Yeah,
did
we've
not
all been
even
there.
check that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Yeah, we always say that old joke. Right?
And then you
It's
go,
like,
and
I
then you-
wrote this. It looked awesome. And
Yeah.
I wake up in the morning. I'm like, was I inebriated when I wrote
Yeah,
this? It's
exactly.
even gibberish.
You try to sneak into the classroom.
Well, we've done that on the podcast. I thought that was a good episode. We were just like,
We
wow.
do that usually every week. Yeah, every week we do
Luckily,
that.
Brian's here to hit record. We'd probably just be sitting here talking to each other.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, I thought about it and I'm like, you know what, I've come this far. I'm gonna keep going. And that's just pretty much how I've always had my attitude. My first associate's I actually have 2 associate degrees.
Nice.
Because I went to Birmingham Community College and I received a C- in anatomy and physiology the first time.
Okay.
And they did not. I tried the dean. I tried the professor. They were no. There was no second chances.
Yeah.
They kicked me out of the program. So I had a really long journey to get to becoming a nurse. You guys have no idea.
Yeah.
You guys are, and you don't have the time either for me to tell you my stories. But
Right.
Yeah.
it took me till
This
I
is
was
a 4-hour
32
podcast.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
30.
it-
32 years of age where I finally became a nurse.
Wow.
Yeah.
All
You know what's
right.
funny, Rosalind?
Persistence.
I actually.
That's sometimes what it takes,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Because you can't
Yeah.
give up.
What you say, Joey?
Well, I can relate a lot to that. So I was in college for a long time too. I went to OC right here in Newburgh.
Okay.
And I remember for me, I took. I graduated in 2017. I started school in 2009. So that's like 8 years myself, you know. And it was just like I started school. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I think I went across like 4 different majors. Like I was like film, criminal justice for a while. Then I went into business, and then it wasn't until I kind of got into business that I was like, all right, this is good. But yeah, I remember that dealing with like, oh man, you know, I'm just bored in class and I'm not getting good grades, and my credits are now not going to transfer and all of that. And then finally, you kind of do it. Took a long time, but I'll never forget walking across that stage, or just getting my diploma, and just finally after 8 years, you know, like
Great
that. It was
It
really
really
great.
is.
But you've gone to
Finally,
It's a
it's
good
like,
feeling, yeah.
finally.
Exactly.
But with nursing, it's a little. There's the next one now. So okay, you graduated.
Sure.
So now you're a graduate nurse.
Yeah.
You still
But you
can't practice.
wow, really?
You have
Yeah,
to,
you need to pass
No,
national
you have
exam.
to pass the NCLEX.
Yeah.
The
NCLEX.
national. Yeah.
And so the one that you do, give us a little taste for this.
We had
too,
to pass.
because,
We had to pass a podcast test.
we did.
Yeah, we failed, but
It was like,
failed,
can
but-
you turn on the microphone?
We did it anyway.
50% of the
We're like
time
a
we turn
pirate
the
radio.
microphone on.
Yeah, we're a pirate podcast.
Pirate podcast.
First, we actually dressed like pirates because we didn't understand what pirate podcast meant.
Thank God we didn't record that.
Yeah.
It's a lot of blouses we went through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's hard to explain for someone who has never done nursing.
Yes.
But the way they word these questions and like how difficult they could be to like just you get lost in the sauce.
Yeah.
Explain like the difference from going from doing your NCLEX as a registered nurse and doing your NCLEX as an advanced nurse practitioner. Like how different that is.
What is NCLEX first? What does NCLEX stand for?
National Council.
I hope you know, 'cause I forgot.
Licensure.
Yeah.
Examination of Xeno Chronicles.
All right.
National is a national.
Gotcha.
You
So
did
no
a
matter
better
where
job
you-
than we had trying to describe what the podcast lingo thing was.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So,
So the difference is for your associate's degree or bachelor's degree, when you're trying to get your first license as an RN, is the NCLEX.
Right.
Right.
When you're at your master's or doctorate level, it's not the NCLEX.
Right.
It's being board certified.
Oh,
okay,
wow.
yeah, right.
So out
So
of the
that
50
makes a big
states,
difference.
That's what most
to be
people-
BC. You want to have that BC otherwise.
right.
So out of the 50 states, there's really only about 3 states, believe it or not, that you don't have to be board
Board
certified to
certified. You
practice.
really want to be though.
You just have to be registered by the state that you're living in,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're considered a nurse practitioner.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So New York is one of them, by the way.
Really interesting. Wow.
Very
don't- you
interesting
don't
because
have
New
to
York
be
is a
board
pain in the
certified?
butt
Yeah.
for every
For everything,
Wow.
right?
Literally everything.
including getting that
That's
degree.
really
Well, I get-
actually
yeah.
interesting.
But you know what this is? That might be the case. But
Considering all
honestly,
the
most
other
of them are board
bureaucracy.
certified. Most people are board certified.
Yeah.
A lot of places want
Yeah.
to say we only have board certified.
Yeah, sure.
practitioners,
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so
But if you're not, then you'll have to get it.
Yeah.
If you want that job.
that's what I'm saying. It's
Oh, I
kinda,
see. Okay,
It
okay.
kind of holds you back.
Okay, got it.
Right?
It
Is that
does.
fair to say?
It does.
It
Because
does,
if you want to
right.
move somewhere else or you want to, like where we live, Connecticut's next to us,
Pennsylvania.
Jersey, and Pennsylvania.
Right.
If I want to practice at any of those states, even doing telecommunication, I have to have that license.
Wow,
Right.
really? Even telecommunications?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great point,
Really?
Rosalind.
Wow.
Yeah, because you go by the rules of that state, no matter
Yep.
where you're.
Oh, my goodness.
stationed.
So I
Wow,
used
that's
to work
amazing.
That's a great
from
point.
home.
Wow.
when I used to work from home doing pediatric triaging, if I received a Hawaii call, I would tell the dispatcher, I can't take that call. I don't have a Hawaii license.
Wow. Oh
So-
my gosh, that's crazy. That's
There's
really,
a lot that people,
wow.
you know, it's good.
There's
It's
so
all the
much
int-
nuance.
Yeah, there really
And there's
is.
so much
This
stuff
should
that
be
you
very,
don't know
very-
until you're done. Like
Yeah.
they don't tell you till you're done. You know, you
Right.
could have made a mistake when you were young, and I don't know if Rosalind broke into cars or whatever when she was younger.
Right.
I'm not going to
Well, she's
speculate on
in the
that.
Bronx.
I live
so
in the Bronx.
maybe.
I
saying.
witnessed it.
There's a
but-
chance things
Right,
might
there
have
you go.
happened. You know, I don't know. I don't want to spread rumor. But you can go to school and then only to find out later that you don't fit their character and not be able to get licensed.
Wow.
There's so many things like
I
so
know,
many
I
like
know- I went to school with two
It's out of
people
your-
that
I had a person
graduated,
like that, too.
Didn't take.
could not get licensed.
What-
They didn't
what do you
say
mean
that's
by,
why,
didn't
but
pass?
They didn't pass the NCLEX.
or just got stuck.
Wow.
I know a person that works where we work right now, and this is true. I will never say a name, but she graduated nursing school, registered nurse.
Yeah.
It's like 25 years ago. Failed once and was afraid to ever go back. Never went back, and she's
Oh,
still in
man.
LPN.
Wow.
Oh man,
I mean,
that's unfortunate.
it changes lives. But
Yeah.
okay, I know
must
we're
be
gonna
pretty
move on to
difficult.
what you're
It must
doing
be
today
pretty-
and why you're
Yeah.
here today. But I can't. Before we move on, I gotta ask you. I know you've had a lot of different jobs. I know you're a little fiend for the excitement. I know you can't hide it from me. I know how you are. I know you love you stabbing things and staking things and blood and slicing. So you got to tell us. I know you were on that ambulance for a while. Tell us some of those ambulance stories.
I still work for them.
Oh, you were doing. You were like, is that an EMT or is that?
no,
No, it's
In,
okay.
in New Jersey, they use registered nurses for critical care transporting
Oh.
or specialty care transporting. Is the
Oh,
same
wow.
thing.
Rosalind's got like 42 jobs. Let me just put that out there.
That's amazing.
My family always says I'm part Jamaican. I don't know what that means, but
Yeah, I did right.
got all the jobs, man.
Exactly.
But tell us about some of the great stories that you've seen on the ambulance over the years.
Oh.
So hit us up.
ambulance, thank goodness, is I've had for a good 8 years. Only one time I had a pediatric 2-year-old, almost 2 years old, crash on me.
Oh,
This happened in Brooklyn. We took him to his little appointment. His parents were there. We're bringing him back to the facility because a lot of these special kids that are trached and bedbound, they're like in a nursing home for kids.
oh wow.
Yeah. So we pick up a lot of these children. And I always have to ask before I take them out, their oxygen level, what's the norm for them? Because every child or every person actually is different.
Oh, really? Okay.
Depending.
Oh,
Yeah, they
wow.
could be born with cardiac issues and their normal oxygen level on room air is 89.
That's
and
what I
that's
live at,
normal.
right,
Really?
And if you give them oxygen, you actually could put them into cardiac arrest.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting.
So you need to know these little things that are
Wow.
very important.
Yeah.
So anyway, the appointment went well. We're bringing him back in. All of a sudden, the EMT tells me, why are his lips blue? Let's just say what?
Oh boy. Yeah.
I looked at my cardiac monitor. His heart rate was low. His oxygen dropped, and he was in arrest. So we started doing.
Wow.
And he was already trached
And that
on,
was because-
on a ventilator.
right.
What else
Already.
more are you
Yeah.
doing?
So I was like, ah!
You just super oxygen? What do you do in that case? Like,
Yeah, 100% oxygen.
Just
He had a pulse, so you don't really do it was greater than 60, so you don't do compressions at that
Okay.
point.
Okay.
Right.
Anyway, I told the EMT driver to the nearest hospital in Brooklyn
Okay.
because we couldn't go to Jersey.
Yeah.
Sure.
And we get him there. He's compensating. His heart rate starts going higher, but his oxygen levels is going lower. Then his heart rate starts going lower as they're trying to get him in a
Jeez,
bay. It was very, very
Wow.
traumatic.
Very,
it was
yeah.
like,
Oh,
they
my
worked on
goodness.
him for a while.
that's
Yeah?
that. So
Wow.
earlier you were talking about like the oxygen. That's like the hypoxic drive there, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an interesting concept.
Yes.
If you can just like give a quick explanation for people who aren't sure what the hypoxic drive is.
So, like I was saying, if you're like a COPDer or children that have cardiac coarctation,
Yeah.
cardiac
Yeah.
coarctation, something like that.
Yeah.
If they have this, if they're born with that, they
Yeah.
cannot get a lot of oxygen.
Okay.
Right.
So they may need they probably don't get any oxygen. That's normal for them. So if you put them on a monitor and you see 89, 88%, that's their norm.
Wow, that's amazing.
But if you're
Really
not
incredible.
aware of all this, you will be, he needs oxygen. And
Right.
you put an oxygen on them and you're going to just,
It
Yeah.
would be doing more damage.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
sure.
their
Yep.
brain will stop.
you
telling
put them
them.
in a cardiac arrest
Right.
because they can't tolerate all that oxygen.
It's so nutty how different like they always tell us, right? And it's hard because it fights your normal thinking or your normal logic.
Yes.
That, hey, this person looks this way, so this is obvious. But sometimes it's so the opposite, right? There's an inverse relationship.
Yes.
But okay. So tell me, if you don't mind, one time in your career, what was the time you felt the most unprepared?
I
had
think
this
that
like
with that kid,
That was the most time.
that was it. Because I'm
You
like,
just nothing you
he's
can-
traked. He's
Right, what
he's
more
on a
can you do?
monitor.
Right.
I'm like, what the heck?
What I didn't do anything. I didn't do
That
anything. I
threw
was
me
like,
off.
yeah.
It totally threw me off.
Wow.
Right.
Totally threw me off with that
Yeah.
kid.
Yeah, I believe that.
But most of the people that I transport in the ambulance are stable.
Yeah. Okay.
Even someone that's having an active myocardial infarction
Yeah.
and is on heparin and I'm on the monitor, they're stable.
Right.
You know, even though, so we're taking them to the cath lab now because they have to get ballooned.
Right.
They have to have that procedure done.
Sure.
But for the most part, as kids from home with their parents, or maybe a parent and a nurse that takes care of them at home, and then we just transfer them to an appointment, a regular appointment.
Yeah.
It could be dental. It could be just
wow,
a
that's
follow up.
interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
How do you, because you must ride with new people, right? I'm sure there's newer, well, maybe an EMT with you or a paramedic. How do you explain like how important it is to stay calm during these events?
So well, you know, the good thing is the company that I've been with for years, and although they went from Lifestar to Lifeline. Right now, Lifestar went out of business, and a lot of the EMTs went to Lifeline, which is where I'm at.
Okay.
Lifeline and Virgo. So I know a lot of them.
Yeah.
And I know who's good and I know who's not good.
Right.
Let's hear who's not good.
Yeah. Let's name names.
So a good EMT is someone that cares, period. Just like a good nurse. If you care, you're going to do what you're supposed to do for this patient. And those that don't care and they're on the phone all the time, you know, they're a problem. So they, you know, I'll just
is
let them know.
difficult.
Don't put me with that person again because they don't care.
Exactly.
They're not doing their job.
We say that all the time, right? Like you think it would be obvious, like, oh, as long as you care, but you'd be surprised how much pushback you get from other people who just don't want to do what they're supposed to do.
Right. Of course.
They don't care.
No, they really
I feel like that's
don't.
almost every career too. Like, I mean, obviously the medical field is obviously hugely important for caring, but at the end of the day, I feel like you could be whether you're a teacher who cares. Like I remember just in college, all of my favorite professors were the ones who would go out of their way to make sure everybody participates and everyone is making sure they're all, you know, coming to the extra help and sessions and stuff like that. And I just feel like the caring in any capacity is really the best way to sort of get someone else where they need to be.
Yeah. So
That's how to do it.
So the way the mentality you have to have in order to care is you always have to think that this could be your family member.
Yeah.
And if this is your family member, how would you
Let 'em go.
want them?
Oh,
Wait, what? Okay.
it's not.
Oh, okay.
We don't let them go.
How would you want them to be treated?
It's not your mother-in-law. Like, not your mother-in-law. It's like, you know.
No,
It's
I love my mother. My mother-in-law
care
listens.
about.
Right,
Diana, if
right.
you're listening, we're not talking about you. I love you.
yeah.
someone
Get me in trouble.
so
Right.
you would want.
But that is the way to. That's
So right.
amazing.
So if you're thinking this is an older lady, this is somebody's grandma,
Right.
somebody's mother. How would you want your mom or your grandma to be treated?
Sure.
And if your mentality is like that, you will do everything for that patient.
Yeah,
You
and
will be
Rob, you're like
constantly
that. I know
amazing.
that Rob,
Yeah,
dude,
dude, yeah.
prides himself
Yeah.
in
So
I'll
the-
try.
One
having
of the
that
other jobs
sort of
I have is
mentality.
academic coach. I'm actually an academic
Oh, that's
coach
awesome. Holy crap.
with my alumni. So Herzing University, where I graduated from.
Very cool. Yeah.
I've always, even while I was a student, I'm like, I'm going to work for them when I graduate.
I know you
That I
worked
love.
as the MA.
Great.
You've been an RN. You're an advanced practitioner now, a family nurse practitioner. I know that you work in an urgent care. And I know also when you were an RN, you worked in acute care, did you not?
Emergency room.
Right. So tell,
wow.
I'd love to hear a little bit about that if you wouldn't mind telling us what that was like.
So that's the majority of my experience.
Oh, okay. Wow.
That's pretty much it. I was working in the hospital while I was in nursing school, and I was working in a cardiac floor as a tech.
Wow.
And then I would do phlebotomy when they needed help, and then I would do EKG tech when they needed help. So I wore many, many hats in that hospital, and everybody knew me.
Yeah.
And I would be on every floor because you do your rounds.
Right,
When you
sure.
work in a hospital, you do like phlebotomy. You would do your rounds to 6 o'clock, to 12 o'clock, to 3 o'clock. So there's drawers at every certain hour.
Wow.
Okay.
Same thing with EKGs. It's usually more daily than hourly or whatever for the phlebotomy.
Yeah.
Right.
But a lot of people knew me there, and when I would float to the emergency room, I really liked it there.
Yeah.
I liked the nurses that were very knowledgeable. And I just thought they were so awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I said, I want to be an ER nurse when I graduate.
Yeah.
So cool.
So that's how I fell in love with that. And the nice thing about having the clinicals is you do that little experience with each, maternity.
Those rotations.
Yeah, and you get a taste for
those
everything,
right.
and you get it, yeah.
And you get to know what you want to
Yes.
continue.
An ER nurse is more as the situation. It's not like hours and you go into different, set routines. ER
No-
nurse is
no
like
routines at
there's
all.
No routines.
Yeah.
It's
Throw
just
them out
like,
the window.
it's sort of like MASH, the TV show MASH, where just people come in and they get
Alden Alder
whatever.
comes by.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
I have
I think it's similar, more closer to Chevy Chase as a doctor. It's
Right.
I think
It's
that was a very
exactly like that.
realistic, representation of
Yes.
a hospital environment.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So once I knew that, once I graduated, then the good thing was they knew me there, so I ended up getting hired right away as I was a graduate nurse until I studied for my boards and all that. So that's how I started doing emergency room.
That's
So you knew that you wanted to do some of these jobs, right? As you're telling us, you seem to be drawn toward like kind of excitement or adrenaline fueled activities.
Right. Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
What did you have, if you had any? Did you have any areas that you went? You're like, oh no, it's not for me.
Yeah, maternity.
Maternity,
Yeah.
not for you, right?
Yeah.
Does your son know this? You just mean working there, right? Not having
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But anyway, that's what clinical is good for. That's
Right.
what you find out what you like and what
That's
you don't like.
Sure.
And I don't like psych
Okay.
either.
Oh, I like
Oh
psych.
my goodness,
Yeah.
that was just awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure that
We-
one. I'm sure it's harder.
Back then there were still charts, so you would be
paper
able
charts?
to. Yeah, they were like this big.
Yeah. Wow,
ridiculous.
really?
And then- so all us nursing students were like sardines because we were so petrified. And you cannot treat a psych patient the same way as you do any person that does not have these serious. We all have psych issues, but these are
we sure
serious.
do.
These are serious.
I don't have any psych issues.
Yeah,
do I?
okay.
Right. None. Yep. Not at all. None.
Everybody.
We have to raise up his headphones
Everybody.
just so he can overhear his own inner voice.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, but that's beside the
Psych
point.
issues.
Just because I vocally talk to my inner voices doesn't mean that.
But the psych patient, I had a psych patient one time, and I was with a nurse. So a nurse, I can identify what you're saying. It resonates with me. I remember just a young woman next to me. I won't say her name, but she was a funny lady. And the guy's looking at her. He's looking at her very intently. He's just like this.
Yeah, they look it. They,
And then he's
you
like
can
this.
See it in the
I hear your thoughts. And then the girl next to me is like, does he really hear my thoughts? I'm like, I'm going to leave you here. I'm going to leave you here. We're just supposed to play bingo with him and get the hell out of here. What is wrong with you?
And then we get to our first clinical, and we're like, "Oh, there's a nurse that's usually here, but she got beat up by a patient last
Wow.
week." And we're like, "Oh." So that
Oh
I
my
mean,
gosh,
it was
yeah.
just
That's pretty much it. At
from
that
the
point.
beginning. It was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
And you can't be like, "Hey, what's up? How you doing?"
Right.
No,
Yeah.
you're not supposed to treat. Everything has to be timed, and there has to be boundaries, and you can't really be too friendly with like.
Oh,
It's
yeah, I
just a
wouldn't.
lot of. I'm a very friendly person.
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
love
yeah.
to laugh and make
Yeah,
people
yeah.
laugh.
Sure.
This is just not my. This is not my thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right,
it'd be like
right.
almost like
It'd
robotic.
be
kind
too.
of
It
thing,
would
like-
be too.
You gotta. I
Yeah.
gotta think really hard.
Yeah,
to,
it's too much.
to
You just
act
want to.
around them.
Yes. Right.
Not for
I,
me.
never,
Yeah,
I have a
I
very
know how you-
difficult time there
Yeah.
myself. So
Yeah.
yeah, I wouldn't be able to do that.
Right.
exactly.
So I got to mention this, right? We dragged you out here. We beaten your stories out of you.
We've gotten to the climax of the whole
Yeah. The
reason,
whole
right?
crux of the episode.
We're getting to the
Here we
crux
go.
of it.
The crux of it.
She does some IV stuff, people. Go,
IV
no, I'm just
stuff?
playing. I'm just saying. I'm going to let you talk about this. But so, in addition to her 15 jobs, the urgent care, the ambulance work, helping with education, helping other students. She's also dipping her toes into entrepreneurship. So Rosalind does have her own business right here in Newburgh. That's at 5020 Route 9W, Suite 104 in Newburgh. Okay, that's right off the highway. I think right off exit 10.
Right next to
Right?
Alexis Diner.
Right.
Oh.
Chase Bank
In that
and-
Chase
yep,
Bank
yep,
building.
there we go.
John J. Lee's real big. John
Yep.
J. Lee's.
You're right there, and that. And that
Yeah,
plaza?
right
Yeah.
there. So you're probably wondering what she does. She does a ton of stuff. I'm going to let her talk about it. But girls, fellas, this is for everybody. Anti-aging, hangover help. I know some of us right here might need that later. Rosalind, we're calling you.
Yeah.
And
Every episode.
Why do you think we have her on the show for that very reason? Don't
what
we?
it
Isn't
is.
that why
We've been
brought her on?
talking- we've been watering
Wasn't
from the
really
mouth
to
together
promote
on
her.
this
It was
show.
trying to get free
I know.
services.
And I will say, I think you're going to be pretty astounded when you hear the list of things she does. And she's been generous enough to give 25% off for Loosely Related podcast listeners.
There you go.
Really
Thank you
appreciate
so much,
that.
Rosalind. For
We're
that.
doing it for you out there. You get 25% off.
So if you go
You'll
see
feel
her,
like $1 million.
go in and bring your girlfriend. Bring a friend with you. Don't go alone. Go ahead and bring your girlfriend. Right? Come, people can go with some friends,
if
right?
if you looked on my site, I have
we got it
food,
up here.
chairs.
Okay.
So
And tell
I
us
did
what you're
that
doing in there.
specifically for that.
The
That's perfect.
website's
That's
pretty
great.
cool. Yeah, when
So
she
with-
tapped on my phone before, it was pretty neat. I got started to get mesmerized and figured out
Yeah,
the podcast.
yeah.
for a second.
So
I know, what's
what I was
soothing, right?
showing you was the male Botox that I did.
Oh, that's
because
interesting.
you guys
I
are
was
talking
wondering.
about mainly
I'm
women.
gonna need that.
Yeah.
It's-
No, it's
both.
there.
Yes.
Men are into keeping themselves in shape too.
This is a
I'm
ESP.
84 years old.
Yeah.
So good. I
Yeah. He looks like he's 78. It's great.
Check it out.
just got bring the water. I just got roasted.
Oh my God. He said,
Put me out.
so I worked with him and he was like, I hate these forehead lines. They're driving me crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yes,
well, I do
I
some
do.
Botox. Come and see me.
I do got some bad ones.
Same. My good one. I mean, yeah. But
I'm
like
always
at
frowning
28,
because I
feel
got 4
like-
kids, so my whole day spent like what? All right, I'm sorry.
So I love IVs from the beginning. I was a certified phlebotomist from 1993. And I'm really good at finding veins,
Yeah?
right? So
Show her those veins again, Joe.
even as
Yeah. You can see him on camera.
those you don't even need a tournament for. Like,
That's
like,
hilarious.
You probably could you
Get a
really do it
close-up
without?
on
those
that.
are great.
You probably could do it without
You
a tourniquet, really,
could
right?
do it without a
Probably do
tourniquet.
If you were blind, you could do
I
it.
think so, yeah.
Yeah.
So when I was an emergency room nurse, I was really good at IVs, of course, and I saw the transition from someone coming in, not feeling well, like crap, doesn't really know what they have. A lot of it is just viruses, not much. A lot of people get discharged,
Sure.
and very few get admitted.
Sure, of course. All right.
So I saw that after a liter or two of just normal saline, a little bit of oxygen, they were like,
Feeling so good.
I feel great.
You're a new person,
I
huh?
was like, I've seen this time and time again, year and year after again, different people, different ages.
Yeah, how long now? You said 93? You've been doing this since 93?
That's as a phlebotomist. So
You do love sticking people.
I
Just saying.
I do. And then in
So do I, Rob.
I know.
Yeah.
so from
I've been
so
experienced that.
So in the hospital where I wore many hats and I worked in the emergency
Right.
room, the nurses would be like, "Hey, Rosalind, I can't get this patient. Can you just get the IV in?"
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, "Sure." And at the time we were allowed to start IVs, and then the nurse will come in.
Okay.
And
Oh, no kidding.
finish. Yeah.
Oh, wow, things have changed.
Then no, hold on. Then somebody
Yeah.
saw this, somebody that knew their business, and said, "Techs are not supposed to administer normal saline. That's considered." Just like oxygen, you need
The drug. Yeah, you need an order.
an order.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
You
Wow.
need an
Interesting.
order
In case
for
of mercy, that's it.
oxygen,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
you need an
technically it's a
order
drug,
for.
right?
Well, yeah. Based on what you said
could
earlier.
or you could just take your drunk ass down to like Virginia Beach with your sandals half off and your flip flops and go to the oxygen bar. That's right there.
Right.
There's no order. You want strawberry? You ever seen those people?
No.
Oh, they're all over like Myrtle
I
Beach,
have-
Virginia Beach.
We got to
So,
bring that.
so actually, I have the oxygen. I have a little oxygen bar.
Nice.
Go on if you go on the website,
You got the different flavors?
I have the different aromas because
we're hitting it today, man.
it's
You
a
better
real-
open
You know
up
what?
coming
You
over.
know it's kind of a good idea. We can go bar hopping and then hit the oxygen bar at the
There we
end.
go.
She's right here, right up River Road, right back down here. You hit River Road, then you go to 520 Route 9W,
There you
Suite
go,
104 Newburgh.
Yep.
This is like
So I
2
have
miles. It's right there.
A little tiny one that has
Okay.
4 little chambers, and it has. I have the different.
And how long does
aromas.
how long does oxygen
So-
therapy last?
They, and research shows that a normal healthy person only needs maybe 30 minutes
Okay, so double it
in
for
a
me.
day.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Only 30 minutes.
Okay.
When you're sick and you're not feeling well, obviously you can get about an hour or two,
Yeah.
but because what I do is elective and wellness
Sure.
and insurances does not cover any of this.
It's difficult. right?
You're paying by the minute.
Yeah,
So-
right.
So you get 30 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Can we
trust
get a
me,
suntan too at the same time? You have a
no,
tanning bed?
not there.
Yeah.
No, but in all seriousness, we know that this absolutely is scientific and it works. If
Yes.
you look at the oxygen chambers are been a
amazing.
thing.
It's
People have
everywhere.
saved their
It's everywhere.
appendages.
Yeah.
right? It's true.
Said, yeah.
You know, they're about to get a foot or something amputated. They go in there, those chambers, and some of them save them.
Yeah.
So the oxygen
So-
bars actually started, I believe it was either Japan or China, where the air pollution is so bad that
Right in Wuhan province.
somebody thought of an oxygen, a place to get oxygen. And then, you know, as you know, it goes to like America.
Yeah.
You know, we just twist
Catches
it and
on.
make money out of
Flavors,
it.
flavors, dun 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 dun.
Right, so you twist it around, put
Menthol.
some,
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
so then you add aromatherapy, which also
Okay.
does work. Okay. And that's all on my website too.
Yeah.
So I do the IV drips, the oxygen aromatherapy, or just oxygen if you want that only, or just aroma if you just want that.
What is your website?
Sure.
You wanna
website.
Throw it out there.
It's very long.
Yeah.
It is. We're gonna fix this.
We
but
will
it's IV
put it
drips.
in. We will put it into the into our.
Yeah.
Oh,
Joey, tell what it is.
we're gonna drop a link in the description. And
There
we're
you
gonna
go.
we're gonna have
That's
a
what I
little.
was trying to
It's
say.
gonna pop up right there again. You know, on our thing that floats
Right
right,
over
there,
here.
perpetually
It's gonna
floats
be
right there.
right over here.
Tell
Right
what it is, Joey.
It is IV drips. rcnhs.vistaprintdigital.com.
Yes.
That is where you can find Rosalind's website, and it lists all the services. These
Tell them
this
some
is
of the
incredible.
services, man. This is a lot.
this
I
is
think I'm
amazing.
going to actually probably visit you.
100%. I'm going.
Please.
So some of the services that she can break them down for us, but there's a hydration one, anti-aging, hangover, sports energy, Myers cocktail. Tell us about the Myers cocktail.
That's the one that started it all, I believe.
Okay.
It's from a doctor that created this. I think it was in the 70s. But IV drips has been around since the 1800s. Like, it just wasn't mastered, or they didn't
Right.
know how well it can do with different symptoms that people have.
Okay.
So Myers cocktail, it has everything in it. That's why it's the most expensive one.
Yeah. It's the normal thing.
But-
Complex, anti-inflammatory, vitamin C, magnesium, calcium.
Yeah,
got a
so
lot going
with
on
the
there.
anti-inflammatory, just got to be careful because it's like if you're taking for older
Kidneys
people,
or
or someone's taking Coumadin or aspirin daily, they can't get that.
Coumadin.
So
Joe, are you doing any of
I'm
this?
doing turmeric.
Turmeric.
Turmeric?
Yeah.
I take turmeric every day for my
That's good.
tinnitus.
So you also do iron boosters, right? So B12. What's CQ10? I don't know that one, Ross.
CQ10 is also considered a antioxidant.
Okay.
Okay. Well,
There's a couple of them that can't be put in IVs. It has to be IM.
yeah.
Okay.
That's one of them.
So those are intramuscular boosters, right?
Yeah.
So where most of these, most you could probably do an R, but you might have to do in the glute, right? You like those?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do it right in the glute.
Yeah, you always
I
have.
could do that.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah.
I like to be complex in the glute
Right.
myself.
So can I have to ask, as a young man, the Weekend Cure is your title for the hangover, the hangover treatment. I have to ask. So have you administered this yet so far, or
So
not?
far, no.
Not yet. All right. Well.
Well, you might have some.
But
Getting in on the ground floor here, man.
But on my website, I had a coworker that her son was with the flu for the second time. It's also on my
Supportive
website.
therapy.
Oh wow.
And I put it on Facebook, and
Yeah.
it got so many hits. It was crazy.
Yeah?
It's
Why don't we
like,
link
That's
the
amazing.
Facebook page?
Yeah, definitely link
yes,
the
please. We
Facebook
will
page.
link that.
Brian's gonna hook us all up.
Yeah.
I didn't even. That's a great point, Rosalind. Earlier you mentioned viruses. How much of that is supportive therapy, right? So these could be
That's
good
it.
for a lot of that,
That's
right?
it. This kid, the mom said, I can't. He's not drinking. He hasn't urinated all day.
Yeah, terrible.
He's dehydrated. I don't want to go to the emergency room because I'm gonna be there for hours.
Yes.
And all he needs is hydration.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so what'd you
And
give
I
him?
was home, and I'm
right.
like, "Ugh, okay, not a problem. I'll meet you at my place.
Uh-huh.
So we met there about 6, 7 o'clock at night, and after a bag and a half, this kid whips out his phone, and I'm like, someone's feeling better.
Wow,
and
that's amazing. Oh my
it was
gosh.
it was
Really
awesome
incredible.
to see it. I'm like,
Right.
this,
Yes,
this
right.
is why I do
To
this.
watch it happen.
And let
This
me
is why
tell
I
you
do this.
guys,
And this is
if you haven't looked here,
12-year-old. Wow.
who hasn't been to the hospital lately? I went to the hospital. I needed vancomycin, unfortunately, because I had a abscess on my abdomen.
I remember we had that on
it
the
was-
episode.
yeah,
We
so-
featured that on the episode.
Yeah,
I
we
think.
did.
But
We
this
linked
is
that.
Unfortunately, we
We'll
featured
link
that on the
Rob's
episode.
picture of his abscess down in the
Yeah,
description.
we're gonna link that. I show a picture
But
of it for everybody.
Obviously, this was
No, Brian's shaking his head. No.
my abscess.
All right.
Not a good idea.
But my point being that I can tell you firsthand. I looked at the from a local hospital. I didn't go to Sloan Kettering. This wasn't cancer,
Right.
And this, it wasn't just IV. I did have vancomycin.
It was cancer
right?
for us.
But
So that would be IV infusion,
but IV infusion,
which is not what I do.
right. So this is different.
Yeah,
Right.
You could still call this IV hydration infusion, but it's or vitamin infusion, but it's different.
I see.
What he did is what he had to get was prescribed antibiotic.
Right.
I see.
that's
So of course,
different.
antibiotics is expensive, but I saw with my insurance picked up, and a lot of people don't have insurance. $25,000. I was there
Wow,
for 3 days.
really?
$25,000. So if you look at some of these prices, and I'm just going to put
That's
them out
pretty
there.
good.
Rosalind's constantly running. If you look at her website, she's running discounts. Again, if you're a Loosely Related podcast member, you're going to get 25% off.
25% off. You gotta take advantage
Hydration
of that.
for $125. You're talking about $25 off.
Let's wait. I want to hear this, Dad. I don't mean to interrupt you, interrupting Rob, but
No. Yeah.
I know how you like them. But that hangover, the weekend cure, 200. These are not outrageous prices by any means. If you think about it, she'll even come to your house. I'm thinking about looking into that.
Right.
I gotta look at. I'm lazy,
Yeah.
but no, she is really close. These really are good prices if you think about how much you're gonna spend. I've had kids in the quick track. What is it called over there in the
Fast
local
track?
hospital? Fast track.
Fast track.
Yeah.
It's not fast track. Let me tell you, the
Yeah.
not part of it must have gotten erased. It's not fast track. But when we were there, we had 2 IV things hung, and between that, my insurance again, thank God, covered it. It's over $1,200.
Wow.
Wow,
That's
wow.
insane.
And there was nothing special. Dehydration.
It is.
So I'm not saying by any means like you should do this if you have that abscess on your abdomen.
Yeah.
But if you have these basic ailments, you're
under the weather, not
dehydrated, you're
feeling
under the weather,
well.
It
right?
can really make a big difference.
Oh my
in the way you're
gosh!
feeling
I'm
and the way
telling you,
yeah.
a liter and a half. I was like, oh, somebody's feeling a whole lot better.
That's
And
really
Yeah.
incredible.
oxygen.
And this again, right? You got the
I
oxygen
have
therapy.
I have my monitor there, so I do vitals as well.
Okay.
Okay. Make
so,
sure. That's
yeah,
good.
I have.
Well, you know
Yeah,
what?
don't let one of us. You know, I mean,
And
yeah, insurance purposes too, I guess, right?
I don't have.
Any word? Oh
I don't
God, I'm
accept
out. I'm done. No, but for you to make sure everybody's okay.
Oh, you mean malpractice?
For you, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
That must be a big thing, right?
Yeah,
Insurance.
definitely.
I'm out.
I
don't
love
know
seeing the anti-heartburn here. I deal with that a lot. I like.
yeah.
I have a. Well, I think I have an ulcer. I mean, we've
Yeah,
talked about
but
it
I have
before.
a high
based on-
here, yeah, I
yeah,
think.
yeah. And the anti-heartburn thing, like, I mean, I'm always trying to find anything to sort of just reduce the acid production and all that. So I mean, that's amazing just to see. I didn't even. First of all, I didn't know it was possible. I didn't know NIV could do that, but that's pretty cool.
That's amazing what you could put in
That's
there.
amazing.
So
And the thing is that we're not helping it by what we're putting in our bodies earlier during the day.
Yeah,
We're
right.
not helping.
That's my whole thing. When we go to
Vodka
Buffalo
is
Wild
actually
Wings-
not an antacid. Either
Yeah.
is the most spicy hot wing you're eating.
Yeah.
But see, you might
What?
find this incredibly healthy.
Really?
Yeah.
It's not?
Yeah, no.
And
No, as far as I
with America's diet, it's just awful. People
Yeah.
just don't. They don't.
Why you looked at me like that? You said it right at me with America's diet.
Well,
You mean Rob's
Look at
diet?
this right here.
I think you're really throwing a lot on America here.
yeah.
Listen, I will tell everybody, I'm not afraid to tell you, I ate 3 salads this week.
Wow.
All
look at you.
right.
I had blend every day. I had a
right.
smoothie. My
Chocolate
wife
ice
gave
cream
me.
salad.
Rob, but you don't want to overdo it, Rob. Don't
Yeah, I
know.
don't become a health nut. All right,
Yeah.
we don't want that either.
But again, I just want to tell you guys, seriously, 25% off. You get it right here in Newburgh. All our listeners, this is Natural Health Services. That's the NHS in that long but accurate website.
And I also have a
You want me
Google.
to
It's
say it
also
again?
Google. Yeah,
It's
sure,
on the
yeah.
Google. I'll drop it again. So once again, that website is ivdripsrcnhs.vistaprintdigital.com.
There we go.
All right.
Is there anything you want to add, Rosalind?
Well, there's
No, you're good? That's a no.
There's something that I want to add.
She's ashamed she's been here. Go ahead, Joe,
that I
what's
want
up?
to add.
Yeah.
What do you
because
got for us?
I'm looking really forward to next week's episode because if you think I have enough energy on this episode, you need to see
Oh
nothing
yeah,
yet.
we're gonna be
Oh,
jumping
no.
off the
I'm gonna
walls
go
next
visit-
episode.
we're
All
gonna-
that
all of
vitamin
us.
B we're gonna get from you.
Our podcast, we're going to do a
We're
marathon,
going to get a boost.
marathon podcast.
No,
We're going to shoot live on location at the Oxygen Bar.
Yeah.
I think the
4
only
day.
thing I did want to mention was the home visit thing.
Yes.
So definitely do home visits, but I like to get to know the person first, so they have
Yeah,
to
I
come
was
to me.
wondering that.
Yeah.
They have to come to me
makes
first.
sense.
Okay, okay.
And if
like-
it doesn't work out that way, I actually had somebody contact me through my website, and they're getting married in November.
Okay.
Okay.
And they wanted to find out prices and if I could go to
Oh,
their
wow.
home
Okay.
after their wedding.
Yeah.
And
awesome.
I'm like, okay, can you come see me first so I
Yeah.
can meet you, get
Yeah,
some
no, sure.
fingerprints,
Okay.
get a driver's
Make
ID.
sure you are.
Yeah, make sure that if God forbid something happens to me.
If you have a van and your windows are blacked out, that's it's a no go.
Yeah, no.
We're all going to be on IV drips next week, including Brian. And
We're
you're
gonna
going to see
We're
Rosalind
gonna be
running
right here with
around,
our chips, Brian.
taking care of us as it's going on.
We're gonna need cable management for our IV.
Joe, you guys have anything?
No, I just want to say, Rosalind, thank you again for coming on.
You're
I think we're
welcome.
gonna
My
make you
pleasure.
our official resident nurse practitioner
Yes.
for Loosely Related
Yeah.
Podcast.
Oh, awesome.
He's the
officially.
official
Yes,
nurse
please.
practitioner of the
Okay.
Loosely Related Podcast.
Please, again, go see Rosalind Cruz, 5020 Route 9W, Suite 104 in Newburgh, okay? Like we say in the Bronx, we hate to flat leave you, but it's time to kick rocks. Bye.
Peace.